start this thing. Where's my microphone? I want to actually bring my microphone up. There we go. Hopefully you can all hear me fine. I've got a bit of a cold, so apologies for the sniffles. Hi guys. Hi Zork. Who we got here then? We've got Mr. G, Amok, Giampopo, Stepz, Andy, and Zork. Hi guys. I'm using pretzel tonight, Zork, so that's what you can hear now. Let's get the wine started. No lemonade with the wine tonight, just going pure wine. I've got a little headphone in as well, so I can hear all the alerts and the music, so hopefully it won't get too distracting. Hi WAF31, welcome to the stream. I can't remember where we'd got with the game, so let me just check them on Flubits. Let's take a look at what we've done. Wait, where's the... There it is. It's called Start, of course it is. I'll make sure there's no sound on in here. Okay, good. Oh, I'm going to turn off that flash because that's annoying. Ah, yeah, we've done the pipe bulges last, I remember now. And we fixed the screen shake for the fat guy as well. Yeah, how is the Twitter count? Let's have a look. So I'm at 993. I've got an idea for a game already. I looked actually and it's been done 1,000 times before, but I'm going to do a version as well. I'll show you actually. Is the music the right level? Because it's weird because I can hear it now, so... this is going to be a game done completely on stream. Let me see if I can find a version of it. So, not that one. I did find a really good version of it. Yeah, welcome to the stream, Fro. Really good to see you on Bill's stream tonight as well. Not that one. I can't remember what it's called now. It's got a laser reflect or something. Yeah, this is the sort of thing I want to do. Oh, and I've stopped the music. Let me turn my camera exposure down as well, because that's really... that's a bit better. There we go. So this is what I'm going to do when I reach 1,000 followers. I'm going to make a game, puzzle game basically. Kind of along these lines, not exactly like this, but... the idea being you've got a beam of light and you've got to get it to another location. Skip it forward a little bit. So you've got to put these blocks in place. I'm going to make it more of a sliding puzzle, so you'll have pieces that you can slide around. Although with this one, this doesn't look quite like I want it to. It's going to be mirrors basically, so you bounce lasers around on mirrors. And you can rotate the mirrors and things like that. So that's the idea anyway. We'll see what my appetite is for doing that, because I want to make this stream probably a 16-hour stream this time. I did a 12-hour last time, so gonna do a 16-hour stream. Well, 16 and 2/3 hours. It's 1,000 minutes. Right, let me just get rid of those D020 things that are going on, wherever that's happening. I'm guessing it's in the pipes. Yeah, there we go. So I don't know what we can do tonight. Char based, yeah, it would be char based. There we go. So we've got the pipes kind of spawning correctly. We've got the bar at the bottom working correctly. I guess we can add the player weight in, because at the moment they're just a set weight. So we should probably think about adding that next. Or an option might be to start thinking about a title screen and a, you know, player 1 and 2 start kind of action. Need to work on some behaviors as well, because I mean obviously this behavior is very screwy, this one's very screwy as well. This comes down to pipe placement more than anything else, but and of course we've got the crown stuff we need to do, but as I say, we'll work on the crown placements towards the end once we've finalized the sprites, then, because no point doing the work now and then having to redo it again when we change the sprites. Make a bloody macro. A macro for what? Oh, is Hayes on as well? Oh, he is as well. What do you say make a macro for, Andy? Oh, can you not hear the music? I can hear the music. Oh, the raster bars. Yeah, I probably should. I'm a bit lazy. Seriously, you can't hear the music? I've got music. Oh, that's weird. Let me check, maybe I've got it on monitor only. No, it says monitor and output, should be there. Okay. Right, I think I'm gonna... Maybe a title screen would be a nice thing to do, because I fancy doing something a little bit different tonight. Oh, thanks for the bit, Stepz. Yep, I heard it in my ear this time. Really a good idea getting these earbuds. I can actually hear things now. Oh, this wine is really good. What is this one? This is, I think I had this one last time. It's a Sauvignon Blanc from Australia. It's a nice one. Let's have a look. The thing is, with the title screen, I don't have any idea what we would do for a title screen, so maybe that's not the right thing to do right now. Let's work on getting the player to appear at the right weight and to grow in size. So our players have here they have a weight that they start on. I think at the moment it's just hard coded. Player size here. Here we go. So they should start on size 0. So they look like this, nice and thin. Ah, no, you see, I was smart about this. So I got the buds that go in the Bluetooth, and I've got a spare one in there. So I'm only ever using one. So when this one starts to go, I can switch over and always leave one charging, which is nice. They were quite cheap as well. They're only like £15. And I tested the buds out today playing some games, so they've been working for quite a few hours on the other bud. I think I got like about 3 or 4 hours out of it. So okay, so this is the base state for these players. Obviously they're dying constantly to the enemies at the moment. Mainly because the enemies are probably the wrong type of enemies for the first level. You would want these walking enemies instead, but obviously the platforms need designing a bit differently and stuff, so it doesn't really matter for now. Let's work on getting the weights to work. So we need the player to get fatter as this bar fills up, depending on who's been eating. Now, I would suggest that a full bar is too late to turn the player fat. It needs to kind of be maybe about 2/3 of a bar to make the player fat. So with that in mind, if you eat 2/3 of the enemies, you go to size 3. So let's have a look at the enemy layout for the levels. So this is our enemy list. So we can use the length of this enemy list to work out how many enemies we've got. We need to make some pointers for these as well. So maybe we can start looking at a second level and making some kind of pointers somewhere in this list to point to the data that's not a set size. So actually let's start with that before we start adding more stuff. Let's start by making this all work from pointers instead. Okay, so first thing we need is pointers to the map. So let's call it map pointers, and let's do it with words, I think. So it'd be something like this. Let's do it on separate lines. So that will give us a lookup for that particular map, for which particular map we want. And then we need to look at the data and work out what data is static in size and which data is dynamic in size. Pipe spawns is always going to be 5, so this is static. Player spawn locations, also static. So we can leave those the same. And what we can do, create some pointers like this. So we'll use these to look up data within here. So I'm going to have to write this. Oh no, this is going to have to be different per map, isn't it? Okay. So let's think about this. Well, these are always going to be in the same place up to here. This is going to be in the same place. This is going to be in the same place. It's these two bits here that are going to be different. So I'm going to suggest we put so we can use that value to grab these offsets here. Okay, so let's see if we can convert the code that's using these. Oh, made that a bit too big. Music at NTSC speed. Yeah, the music will play 17% faster or so. One trick to do is if you're on NTSC, is every 6th frame, just don't play the music, skip a frame for the music. It makes the NTSC music play at the same speed, albeit the quality is ever so slightly lower, because there's one frame where the 5th frame of every music played will actually last for 2 frames instead of 1. But it's really hard to tell, so there is a value. Let me find it for you. I think it's O2A6, I think. O2A6. Yeah, O2A6, there we go. God, I can't believe I remembered that. There you go. So if you read that value, you should be able to find out if you're running PAL or NTSC. And then just do a check in your music routine for that value and skip a frame. So just one frame out of 6 basically. Okay, so we need to find all the places that we reference map data and then start using map pointers instead. So let's find out where we're using map data. So we're using it in the pipe spawn, a lot of the pipe spawn. We're doing a map lookup here. We're doing map loader. Okay, map load is probably a good place to start. So let's go and start with that one here. So map data.map.level. Okay. So we need a current level as well. So let's put a current level in the player. So the player is what's going to contain things like, actually, does this contain the score? No, the score's in the HUD. So actually, what data have we got in the HUD? We don't have any data in here. Okay, let's just store it in the player instead. So let's put it up here, right at the top. I'm not going to be insane. I'm going to make it start at 0. Okay, so so in the map loader, we're going to need to grab that value and then initialize the correct data from that as well. So just trying to think the easiest way to do this. Okay, so we load player current level. Now we're using a word table, so we need to double this number, which actually means we've got 128 level limit, but I think that should be fine. Transfer that to the X register. Now I can look up. Oh, what did I call it? I forgot what I've called it already. Let me split this screen in half so I can actually put stuff on the other side. What was it? Map data. There we go. Map pointers. There we go. The only annoying thing about these buds is they've got like a little touch thing on them, so I can stop the music just by touching it. So sometimes just when I'm arranging it in my ear, the music stops. So I have to be aware of that. Oh, my throat is really bad. I'm going to do my best to last all night, but I may have to finish slightly early if I keep feeling like this. Just going to drink lots of alcohol, maybe that'll get rid of it. Kill the germs with the alcohol, isn't it? Okay, so now we've got well, we've got the index into this map pointer array. And the level is at the beginning. We'll always keep the level at the beginning. If I put a little comment here, actually say level always first data in map data, and then that way we can just load these values from here. So this actually becomes, let's move this up here. That's that simple. Yep, there's no other place it's used in here. Okay, so I want to give that a little test, so I'm going to load up our map. I'm going to make a small edit to it, and I'm going to save it out as map 2. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Okay. So I'm going to make a little edit in here and then save it out as map 2. So let's just get rid of the doors up here. cloud maybe. Yeah, that'll do, I think. Just so we can see that it's loading in the correct map. Export map. Put map 2 in here. So if I load now, we should see the original map, and then I'll change the current level and we'll see if it loads the second map. So this is what we should see for the first map. Which will do, perfect. I do like these pipe bulges, they look really good actually. We do need to design the levels around what's going to pop out of these as well. It's no good having a behavior that walks backwards and forwards on a platform if it's going to drop out and walk like 3 or 4 pixels in either direction. Okay, so let's try changing the current level. Oh no, so we've got something odd there. Okay. I think that is... Let's have a look. What have I done? Have I done something wrong? I might have done something wrong here. Oh yeah, I have. Basically, I changed the first one and not the second one. There we go. So it worked for the first map because we were still using the right value for the first map. There we go. So map 2 is loaded incorrectly. So that's the map loader stuff done. So where else were we using it? We're using it in the HUD, which is quite a small section. So let's go and do that one. And we're using it in the player spawns. Okay, so that's a good one to do next. So let's do the HUD first, and then we'll do this one. Oh, actually no, because the HUD is using the bar units thing. So this is this thing down here. So let's actually do the player spawns next, because that's going to be the easy one to do. Okay, so now is our map data always the same size, and if so, what size is it? Oh, how big would it be? It would be 220. So do you know what? I'm going to create offsets as well. So offsets, and this is going to be in a little group like this, and they're just going to be labels. Actually, no, there'll be words as well. No, actually, we don't need to do this. We can just do it. We can just do it like this. So this would be like that. There we go. So what this is doing is just creating a constant value, basically a hard-coded value, which is the distance from the beginning of the level to the player spawns. The reason I'm doing it like that is because then we can use it for every level up to this point here. Once we get to the enemy list bit there, that's not going to work. But this is why we have this number of enemies value in here. So that will be one of these. So let's add them in for everything. So let's call this pipe spawn data, and this would be like so, and then door spawn data and switch spawn data. Let's call that data as well. Make it consistent, I guess. Okay, now we can use those to look at the exact values in the list. Okay, so this wine is going down really nice. So what we're doing here, we're grabbing 3 values from this location. There is an X value up here that's been used. I'm guessing I need to make sure that it isn't destroyed. Oh no, it doesn't matter. Look, it just decides which one's being played. So once we've got into here, we can actually use the X register. That's fine. So what we can do is, actually, can we use the Y register, because that's the one we really want to use. So we'll do it here, because this is where we can set up the kind of link into the level data. We double it, transfer it to the Y register. We've got to leave the X register alone at this point. And this is the map lookup that we're doing here. And then we can grab like so, and that needs to be stored somewhere. I'm just going to put XXX for now, and then right, and this will be a 0-page address. So let's go and have a look at the 0-page stuff we've got. I believe we've got loads of room in 0-page still, so I'm just going to create I'm just going to call it map lookup vector. I'm going to create a word. So I'm going to use the +0 again. Or we always use +0 just so you know that there's a probably a +1 coming up, or there will be one somewhere in the code related to that address. Okay, so now we've got that map lookup in 0-page. So at this point here, we also need to do the player spawn stuff. So what we can do is when we look it up, we'll look up the value here. We can then add is it player spawn data, and that would be no, not like that. Add the lower part of that, and just in case it goes higher as well. It doesn't in this case, but if we did for some reason extend the size of the map, we'd need the upper byte as well. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, I just find it easier if you're going to do something where you are storing a 16-bit value, or you are using more than 1 byte. It's easier just to put the +0 in. It just makes it obvious when you look at it that this is actually not the whole story. There's a bit more to this somewhere else. Whereas if you just did this, you might look at that and think, okay, that's all that's going on here. So it's just a way of kind of making the code slightly more readable, if slightly odd to look at. Like traditional programmers would freak out if you just started putting +0 randomly in the code, because there's no need for it at all. But we're assembly programmers and we don't care what they think. Saying that, if I were doing a code review on Monday and somebody put +0 in the code, I would have a go at them. So okay, so now we've got our map lookup, and it's now pointing to whichever map we're in, but at this location here, this player spawns. It gets an Andy Magic Night 10 out of 10. Yeah, it does. It makes you, yeah, it does. It helps you think that there is a bit more to this than just, like, here's a perfect example. You know, you could just have store default frame, but I know now that this is doing something. There's more than 1 value at this default frame location. And from looking at this code, I know that that's actually because this is player 1's default frame, and player 2 will probably have +1, which it does there. So it is useful to put it in. Okay, so we've got the lookup for here. I'm going to change the spawn points for the players. Just on the other map, just so we can make sure that there is loading different spawn points in. And now we need to apply those things. So so player 1 will be this bit here. So we'll load y is 0, and then this becomes instead of this. So we can go with that. Likewise, this and this, and we just need to increase the y before we do each of those. And the same applies to this section down here, except we start with a different value. So 0, 1, 2, 3, we start with 3. So, well, we can see the value here, 3, 4, 5. So 3. Cool, so that should make our players spawn in a different place per level. I think that was the only location in there, wasn't it? Yeah, players, okay. So just to check in our player function, current level 1. So we should see a different spawn point now to the one we used to. It should be more kind of separated. Okay, map pointers didn't read, that's because, why is it not jumping to the code? It used to jump to the code, I'm sure of it. Never mind. That's because I'm using map pointers. I'm not actually using map data. I'm using the namespace I've created for it. Oh, really? Map data. No symbol map 1. Oh, it's map _1. I knew that. I knew that. God, I was so bugged up. This is terrible. Not got a fever though, so it's not coronavirus. It's just a cold. So yeah, there you go. So it spawned us in different places this time. I'm just gonna check that I can move this guy over into the most significant byte as well. So play 2 spawns, so it's this one here. So if I make this 26 and make this 0, 1, hopefully it should spawn right over that side. Maybe a bit too far actually, but oh no, there you go. It's actually a pretty good spawn point. Cool. Just to double check that that code is working correctly, let's go and change the current level to 0. Let's see if we spawn back in the original places. No, I haven't. I'll do that now. Bring up source tree. Initial multi-map systems. There you go, should be there now for you, Stepz. Cool, so that's the basics of our multi-load system. Obviously we need to go through everything now and make sure it's working. It's a good idea to get this done now before we get any more complex in there. So we've handled the map loader, we've handled the player. So we've got the HUD, which is in a non-dynamic area, so we'll come back, we'll do the non-dynamic stuff last. We've got the pipes. Now the pipes are in a in a non-static area, and the pipes are in a static area, so we can do those ones. Although actually there are there is the enemy list as well. But this is fine. This is fine. We can use self-modifying code to do these things. Started off really good with my commit descriptions. Now they're just called GGFFH. Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, on my own projects they're like that, but when I'm doing something like this which is shared, I will try and at least write some stuff. I mean, saying that, the last comments I put on last week were fix the fucking pipes and working pipes, fuck yeah. So probably not. I mean, that's descriptive, I guess, but I really like this pretzel. Having the music in my ear is quite nice. I usually code with music, and I don't always hear it when I'm on stream, so it's nice to have it there. Okay, so we've got quite a lot to do in this pipe section, so I want to think about how we're going to do this, because it looks like we're using the Y register as well in places, so it's not going to be that straightforward. Wine defines. The last commit was wine defines. Oh right, you mean it caused by the wine, yeah. All right, let's go and let's work through this file and have a look. Right. Check there are enemies left to spawn. So next enemy index, and then we're grabbing the enemy list. So the enemy list start actually will always be in the same place, so we can actually include that. So it's just the length of it we won't know about. So yep, I'm going to put a little note in the data as well to say oh God's sake, dynamically size data from this point only. Oh, you got CPU gem. Yes, if you could, that'd be really good, because we do need to figure out what's going on there, and try and work out if we can catch it in the process of doing it and figure out why it's so. If we can make it repeatable, then it's going to be really easy to fix. At the moment it seems to be very random, so if anybody can make it crash consistently, that would be really handy, because we've had this bug for a while now and we've just not worked it out. Wine defined, I get it. All right. Check there are enemies left to spawn. Okay, so this is grabbing the next item in this list and making sure it's not 0. So I feel like maybe there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Is initialize setting up the pipes? It is. So this was going to get called at the beginning of every round. So maybe in here we can set some vectors to look these things up. This isn't an update function, so this value here needs to be here basically. Just quit to ready prompt. Okay, but you seem to be getting it to happen consistently, which is interesting. Keep going, Stepz. If you can kind of explain to me how this happens every time, then we will switch to fixing that bug, because I'd love to get that bug squashed. Okay, I feel like this can be a self mod here, so I'm going to call this enemy list, and I think this can be defined in the initialize function. So initialize self mods based on current level. Okay, so same again, we're going to grab the current level. Call it map pointers, comment X. Yeah, well, we'll do it this way for now, I think. The lower part of that. So that's going to update our enemy list. So again, I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to change this to 2.2.2. So this should spawn nothing but walking enemies for level 2. Pardon me. So level 1 should have flying enemies first, 4 flying enemies and 1 walker. So this one will be a flying enemy, or whichever one comes out first. This one, so flying, yeah, 4 flyings and then a walker, yeah, okay. Whereas if we change that to 1, so level 2, you should see nothing but walkers come out. Nope, we got nothing but flyers this time. Oh no, same again, okay. So that didn't work. Oh, are we actually calling initialize? Maybe we're not calling the initialize now. So upon the completion of loading a map here, we should probably call because it's only when the level's loaded and drawn that we care about doing that. So we're looking for walkers coming out of these. Do you need to change the colour of this guy as well? Oh no, it's still putting those ones out. Okay. Pipes initialize. So that would just make sure there is no other pipes initializing here. There is one there. I'm going to take that one out because we need to do it as part of the map, really. Take the current level, double it, transfer it to X register, load the map pointer, add the enemy list data, store that enemy list +1, which is this bit here. So this would actually be beef. If I change that to beef, what happens? Do we actually get anything? Hi Warlock, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. So this should be interesting, what we're going to see come out here now. Okay, we do see the same enemy list appear. That's interesting because that seems to have not loaded map 2 data at all. Current by 01, so it should definitely be loading. Oops, let's refresh that page. Should definitely be loading. Okay, why? Should be loading the map data from level 2. So it is loading the actual map level 2, as you can see, because it's got the missing cloud and the doors. Yeah, no cloud, no doors. But the enemies that come out should not be the ones that are coming out. They should all be the same. let me just try alternating the data here. So this is map 1, so I want to see if we get the same data from map 1. So this would be 1 walker, 1 flyer, 1 walker, 1 flyer. Yeah, we're definitely getting the data from map 1, even though we're set to map 2. So maybe that's not the only place that we're actually looking up. Oh, it's not the only place we're looking up. That's why. So there's going to be another place where we look this up. So this is, I'm just going to put a comment in here so we know what it's actually grabbing. Let's see if we can find another place. This is just counting to see if we've got enemies left to spawn. So that's not enough. But it's fine, we can do another self mod somewhere, I'm pretty sure. So there's only one place that we need to do it. Thank you for the follow, Top Foot. Wow, those alerts are loud. I don't know how that alert was for everyone else, but that was really loud in my ear. Let me know if that was too loud, I'll tone it down a little bit. Oh, I just stop the music. Definitely restore your C64C, that would be really good. We need lots and lots of developers. The number of games coming out now for the Commodore every year is absolutely astounding. Spawn enemy from pipe, here we go, so it's been used here as well. It's just been used in this one location, I don't think it's been used anywhere else. So I'm gonna put another self mod here. Normally I wouldn't feel too comfortable about using this many self mods, but it's fairly isolated to this one file. It's not jumping into other locations. It's just looking up data from here. It's not actually jumping to these locations. You notice on the other map you changed to have not got CPU jam there. Possibly, but I don't know. Try changing go into player, change the current level to 0, and see if you get the same result. AMK gives self mod a 1 out of 10. Yeah, self mod is tricky to use. Well, it's not tricky to use, it's easy to use, but it's easy to make a mess of it and end up with something that breaks, so just be careful with it, basically. I can't actually read that name, let me check my Streamlabs. Hacksaw DK, thank you for the follow, Hacksaw DK, and welcome to the stream. Draw bulge. The reason I'm using it in here is because, as I say, we're not storing any data there, we're loading data from those locations. So it's not going to cause a CPU jam, we're not jumping to any self-modded address. So sorry Stepz, change the current level, line 33, player ASM. Oh, I can do it for you if you want, because I know it'll update in yours. You probably can't edit it. There you go. Oops. Although I am going to change it back at some point, so. So, sorry, this was. Okay, so that's those two. So that's where the enemies are read from as they spawn from the pipe. So I think Stepz should be testing that now. So I'm going to change it back to 1 again. So now hopefully we should see nothing but walkers pop out of the pipes. Definitely need to change the colour of this guy down here. Yep, there we go. So we have got this issue where if a walker appears over an edge, it kind of does this jump thing, and if the platform is too short, it looks like it's kind of freaking out. So we need to address this in the level design. You got a jam on level 0. Okay, that's weird how you got a jam on level 0. Okay, let's try that. Let's see. So what do? You just spam the shooting. Player 1 or player 2? Did it matter which one you were using? Jumping out like crazy, spamming lots of shots. Okay. Both players. Yeah, I'm not getting it. Just jump around like crazy on the keys. Just been using the green player, okay. The guy really needs to change colour. Yeah, I'm not getting any crash. It does seem to be very inconsistent anyway. But we do need to figure it out because it makes for a very unplayable game. Oh! Okay, interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to make a small change for it. If you can give this a little test. Hang on, let me see. Have I stopped the music again? Yes, I have, sorry. No, we do need to work it out. It's something that's been bugging me for a while, so we do need to work it out. I'm pretty sure it's related to where is it? Oh, here we go. It's a bit of information. CPU jam seems to be caused when this value hits FF. Because the player number returns 0, which it's not though, because this break is never happening. So I don't think this is correct. So actually, I'm going to comment that block of code out. I believe it's in here, maybe. Yeah, this bit here. If I just call behavior, so this is actually moving the enemies around the screen. So I'm just going to return from this function straight away. I'm going to put debug there so I know it's just part of debug code and to delete it later. Yeah, I'm going to take a short break in a second anyway. Hopefully things still spawn from the pipes, but they're not going to fall, they're just going to stick at the end of the pipes. No, they're not even drawing at the end of the pipes. But you can still die, they're definitely there. Yeah, okay, that's not good enough. Let's force it to always jump to the same behavior and see if we still get a crash. So instead of finding a behavior like this, I am just going to jump to behavior offset. Okay, so let's grab the enemy behavior list. Enemy behaviors, here we go. God, I'm really not feeling great at all. I think I might go till kind of my normal Thursday time, like about 12:30, maybe a bit later. I'm certainly not going to do the game, and I don't think I need to sleep. But I would like to get as much of this done as possible tonight. Okay, so these are the behaviors we're jumping into. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm just going to jump straight into enemy 1 behavior all the time. So this is the flying candy monsters. So actually no, let's jump into enemy 2 because they're a bit easier to dodge. So enemy 2. Behaviors enemy LSB, there we go, comma X. So that's grabbing these values from in here and storing them in self mod. So I'm just going to comment that line out, and instead I'm going to grab like so. Just for debugging, just to see if there is anything weird going on there, and then that should allow. You're loving the one earpiece look. Thanks, Mike. It lets me hear everything. It was a Haze that suggested using headphones, and I didn't like putting the over-ear headphones. They're a bit much for me, so the one earpiece look is kind of here to stay. So. Yeah, and the thing is, if I've got headphones on, because I'm so old, I say so old, I'm not that old, I'm only 42, but I struggle to hear myself properly, so if I put headphones on, I'll just be screaming down the microphone, which isn't fair to my girlfriend, who doesn't want to hear me shouting down the microphone every night. So slip off your shiny head. Oh yeah, and there's that as well. Yeah, they tend not to fit me very well. I do have a nice pair of Sennheisers actually that I could use. What are these Sennheiser Momentums or something? These things, they're they're quite nice, but I wouldn't want to wear them for hours and hours. They're good to listen to the odd song here and there. No, not CX. I can't remember. I think they're called Momentum something or other. Momentum. Sennheiser Momentum 3 wireless or something. Yeah, Sennheiser Momentum 3 wireless. But they're quite nice because they've got a lossless compression format for the Bluetooth. So. Okay, I'm going to go for a quick smoke break. I'll be back in 2 minutes, guys. I've compiled a version here, Stepz. I don't know if you're back, with the self-modifying behaviors turned off. So all the behaviors are the same. If you can make this crash, then I can rule out the behaviors. It blue screened with that change. Okay, so it's not that then. We need to figure out where else this is going wrong. Okay, take care, Mike. Okay, before I go, I'm going to just restore that change. It wasn't that then. Where did I change it now? Everything's in here. There we go. Of course, it could be this behavior offset is wrong as well, so I'm actually going to store that value in here as well. So the next time it crashes, if we look at the value that's in EEBF, we should be able to get an idea of whether or not it's the behaviors once and for all. If you can remember that, EEBF, and just make sure that's not being overwritten by anything else. It's not, so that's good. Right, I'm going to take a 2-minute break, guys, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you're getting that. Okay, let's have a go. So just jumping around with player 1. Don't eat any enemies, okay. Oh, that was weird. I kind of ate one by accident then or something. Like if I stand right next to an enemy and shoot. Okay, no. There was a weird bug there. Oh, it's not crashing for me, it's difficult. What was in that memory address, Stepz, out of interest? I need some more wine. Yeah, can you check this memory address? Or is it EEBF? So you need to type that into it should be 0, 3 or 6 in that location. If it's anything else, then it's a problem. Say it's 3. Okay, so that's the update function. So it's not that then. Can you check the memory address? Can you do actually do D266. Do that one and tell me what the instruction is. It should be a JSR something or other. If I do that, 2D66, I get a 2EF6, and if I go and have a look at that, I got a proper routine there. C6. Oh, interesting. Oh no, that is correct. So it's not to do with the behaviors then. Okay, that's interesting. Because that location is indeed pointing to a correct place, and that is 2DF3, and that is a proper routine. So it's not that. Okay, so that rules out the behaviors. Could be a 0-page issue, yes. Let's try shifting some of the 0-page stuff around. So if we look in our behaviors, actually we're not using 0-page in here. So I'm trying to think what this would be caused by. This is being caused by a jump to a random location. So I'm going to have a look for some more instances of self-modifying code and see what's going on. See if there's any more jumps. There's some stores. There's some, yeah, there's not that many really. Yeah, it is very annoying actually. It's not the map loader. It could be the soft sprite routine. So this is a store for the soft sprite routine, and it updates sprites. Char data left. Okay. Have you still got that monitor open? If you've still got that monitor open, I'd like you to check something for me. Although again, I don't think it's going to be that either. Thanks for the follow, Stage One Boss. Welcome to the stream. God, those alerts are really loud in my ear. Really, really loud in my ear. Which is good, I suppose. It's better than not hearing them at all. Yeah, see if you can make it crash without firing. Because if you can make it crash without firing, then that's a good indication. I'm going to carry on doing the refactor that we need to do around the map data code while I'm halfway through it. But yeah, if you can make it crash without firing, then we can rule out the firing. If it only crashes when you fire, then it's obviously something to do with that routine, and we can narrow it down that way. It's good having somebody able to test like this while we do other stuff. It's very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Okay, so yeah, let's go through the rest of the pipe routine and have a look in here. So we have got map data here in this whole section. This is in the draw the bulge. We've also got it in the clear the bulge, and we've also got it in the update. So we've got loads of stuff there. We're not using it inside update, which is good, because we've refactored it out. So let's have a look at these various things. Maybe what we should be doing is copying this data into a location up here. So if I do, let's get our map data here. I'm just going to create a copy of this data. I'm just going to stick it here. I'm going to call it map data copy. And then the first job when we initialize the map will be to copy this data in from the current map. And then that will make these lookups really simple. So we've already got the map pointer data here. Oh, we need to do it again. Fair enough. We'll do it again. Okay. I'm just going to copy that block and then I'm just going to call this self mod here. Self mod here. And this time we're trying to get the pipe spawn data. So, and then we can it's going to be our little loop. It's also our self mod. And we're going to load our self mod data, $x, and store that at that data copy, $x. Presets, compare that to could just use one label here, but I want it to be obvious that it's a loop. And so from now on we can just use map data copy in the place of map data.map1. So let's go through the sections. So update, we didn't need it, so we do need it here. Do need it here, and so on all the way down. Okay, so it's definitely related to the CPU gem is definitely related to the throw routine. So we'll go and take a look at that in a minute. I'll just get the rest of this in place and do some quick tests around it. I think that's right. How are we going to test this data? Let's just shift the spawn point for one of the pipes over a little bit. So I'll change it back in a minute. I just want to make sure it's working correctly and pulling the right data. So one of the pipes is going to be spawning in the wrong place, and it will be the second one along, so this one. So when the bulge comes from here, we should see it spawn about here instead. Yeah, it spawned there, there you go. Okay, so that's working fine. And just make sure if I change it back to 0, that works. And then I think I've just got one more thing I need to fix. And then we'll try and track that down. It's good that it is definitely something to do with the fire routine. I'll tell you what we can try actually now. That does work, cool. I'm just going to stop enemies from spawning at all. And if you can do a test with no enemies spawning, then we can kind of see if it's something to do with the collision maybe. Okay, so this is the initialize. Okay, I need to put a little note here. Copy map data for easy access. Check if there are less than 5 enemies. So if I just put this in as a temporary, hopefully this should stop the enemies from spawning there. The throw uses the same vector as the clear sprite. Okay. Can you tell me whereabouts that is, so I can look that up? Clear soft sprite. Okay. So Stepz, can you try that without the enemy spawning? And I'll go and have a look at the clear soft sprite. This one here. Clear soft sprite screen row, and you're saying that uses the same. The throw uses the same vector. Okay, so let's try changing those vectors. Let's call it soft sprite vector. See if we're using that anywhere else as well. So we are using some. This is the upfront blit table. Oh, thank you for the follow, Game Dev 513. Welcome to the stream. The play routine uses those vectors. Okay, so the blit table doesn't matter because that's done up front. So this only happens once. Yeah, it's always to do with these bloody 0-page addresses, isn't it? So we're using it in here as well. Draw sprites. And they're also being set, I believe, in here as well. So let's create 3 and 4 and use those. So vector 4 becomes vector 3, so that needs to change in here as well. Vector 6 becomes soft sprite vector 4. There's also some temps in there as well, so we need to possibly move those as well. But the amount of room we've got in that 0 page, we might as well start moving these things anyway. So we're using 5, 6, 7, 8, but then we're using temp 8 in here as well. Okay, so need to be careful about this. So we need 3 of them. Sorry, was it 3 or 4? I'll use 4. We can always delete them if we don't need them. Okay, so nothing here, nothing here. We are using temp 1 as a store here when we add a sprite. I'm not sure why we're using that there. I'm not going to touch that one though. Temp 5, 6 and 7, so that'd be temp 1, 2 and 3. Temp 1, temp 2, temp 3. I just need to make sure that they are not being referenced directly like I saw down at the bottom, which they're not. Okay, and temp 8 becomes temp 4. However, it's definitely being used somewhere. Where is it? It's not there. Here. So I'm actually going to change that to temp, like so. Oh, I'm using vector 5 as well, so I need to fucking hell to figure out what the hell I did for that now. I'm just going to go and have a look at my old code just to see what the hell I was doing in that area. Soft sprites, okay. So vector 5 was here, and that was originally not being used apparently. Oh, interesting. What the hell is that then? Trying but can't get it to jam. Is that using with the no enemies on? Okay, let me put the enemies. Well, let's just see if this is working, because I might have completely broken it now. Oh, yeah, completely broken it. Interesting behavior. I want to know what this vector 5 is being used for. Oh, it's here. Oh, shit, okay. I may have to change these back again, but for now, I'm just gonna... Oh no, this is creating this... Wait, this is creating the blit table. We shouldn't need it here. Been trying 3 minutes with no enemies and you can't get it to crash. Okay. So this blit table is used once up front, so this shouldn't be being called all the time. And actually the get font lookup shouldn't matter either. So something else has gone horribly wrong here. Let me undo all those changes. Just make sure it's still working. Let's just do the clear sprite, because that was the one. That was the one Andy said was part of the throw routine as well. So let's go and have a look at the throw routine. Throw. This one. There is some collision lookups here. Okay, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to narrow it down by turning everything on again to get the enemies to spawn, and then we will reduce, where is it, pipes. So let's get rid of that. So the enemies are spawning again. So this should crash again. Just going to comment this out. Just don't necessarily need that right now. Okay, right, so I'm going to turn off the projectile collisions here. Soft sprite projectile, so this is checking. Is this checking it goes off screen? I think it is. Let's see what happens if I just put an RTS in here. I don't think this is going to be enough actually. Oh no, because you can still hit the enemies. So that's not the right one to do. It's the enemy to... Spawn enemy, no, we need enemy collision. I can't remember where the hell that is now. Exit if stunned, has hit projectile, there we go. So that's going to be an enemy macros, which is this one here. Oh, excuse me. So that's this function here. I'm just looking to see if there's anything. I mean, there's lots of pushes and pulls, so it could be something in here is wrong. So let's just do an RTS in here. My guess is that we're doing one too many pushes or pulls to the stack. So what we're looking for is the game to work, except that you can't hit enemies anymore. Okay, can you try that now, Stepz? See if you can make that crash. While you do that, I'll start looking at the next section of the background HUD stuff. So the final piece, I believe, is in here. So we've done all the pipe. We've done the map loader. We've done the player. So it's just this HUD bit here. We've checked the stack pairs, and they're okay, are they? There's no weird branch that's skipping over some, is there? Yeah, it does look fine actually. Push, push, pull, pull. There is a jump to add score here, but that's not going to destroy those. Yeah, that looks fine as well. Let's see if Stepz can make it crash. Stepz seems to be getting it to crash consistently. So yeah, it does look. It looks like it should be fine. Okay, so we need this routine here, and this is the bar units. So for this, what we need to do is we need to grab. Is this just grabbing it once? It is just grabbing it once, based on what's in the X register. Okay, so I'm going to push that to the stack before grabbing it like that. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to use the X register to grab well, no report from Stepz yet, so this is looking kind of fairly decent. So that's there, load map data, map pointers. Is it map pointers or map pointer? Map pointers, X. Now we need to get the beginning of the enemy list data, which is this bit. Hopefully that's the only self-mod in there. It is, okay. But we also need to add in the number of enemies as well. So I'm going to grab that by if I do that by going into our pipes. This one there. So now I can just grab that values directly from here. And the way to do that is grab the original value, it's a bit messy, this code, but it wouldn't be the messiest code that we've got in here. Oop. Okay, I don't want to change anything for testing until Foro's finished with that. Well, I can change it, but I don't want to. I don't want to actually test it yet. Call routines for returns. Yeah, it probably is about time we do that. No crashes. Okay, interesting. So I'm going to turn it back on then. So we know it's something to do with this macro. We can go through this macro bit by bit in a minute, but first I just want to, well, it's not even a macro, it's a subroutine that's called by a macro. I just want to check that this works now. So if we're on level 2, we should see the bar move up a lot quicker because there's only 4 enemies. We are on level 0, so let's check level 0 first. Okay, I'm going to check that in a minute. Notice Andy's written an interesting observation, so I just want to check this piece of code. Oh, actually, that didn't move our bar along at all, and yet it did on the second one. Maybe it's off by one. Oh! So I'm going to have a look on the stack to see where that's been called from. Our stack pointer is F2. So it says 2D45. Oh, sorry, 2C45. Okay, it's something has jumped us to do D01. C40. Check player collision. Okay. No, it's not. It's 2D4B. That's really weird. So it does all of this, and then jumps to core behavior, which is at 2D4B. So do 2D4B. Which is that core behavior function as well. Alright, I'm going to have a look at that because I think Andy's onto something there. Let me just quickly figure out what's going on with the this bar before I step away from it and forget what we're doing. Number of enemies is auto-filled here. So let me run that again. I think that's what I'm looking at. Okay, that's a good sign then, because if the code I'm looking at in the monitor appears to be the same thing that you think there might be a problem in, that's a pretty good chance that it is, right? I'm not getting that first bar for some reason. Second one I do. Okay. I just want to check if I switch to level 2. Okay. So now we should only get 4 enemies. It's loaded the right level, spawned us in the right places. We've just got the 4 enemies. Oh, we get a crash. Oh. What? That's interesting. I don't know why it's put that on there, but oh. Okay, I think that HUD thing's wrong, so I'm just going to comment that out. We'll come back to that. Just want to make sure it's not crashing every time. Oh, it's crashing even without that. Okay, right. Right, something weird is going on here. That's crashing every time. I need to figure out what that is. Damn it, I think we're stacking bugs up there. So as soon as I hit that one, I didn't press anything else, I just hit it. Okay. Alright, let's have a look at this piece of code that 252, okay, in enemies, line 252, okay. There is a looplet test, but if it gets to the end, x equals -1, it falls through. Oh, good point. Maximum number of enemies. Load enemy type if we found it, otherwise go there and it falls through. You're correct, there should be something here. And what should that be? It should be an RTS because we haven't found a free enemy. And that's probably what this crash that I've just been looking at is about. Because I've only put 4 enemies on this level. So once the 4th one... Oh, why is the 5th one popping out of the pipe? Jump. Hang on. That's correct. The problem is, if you notice, so this level should have only had 4 enemies spawn on it. So if you look at the enemy list, where is it? There's only 4 enemies on it. So if I put 5 enemies in, will it crash? The problem is when it tries to spawn that 5th enemy. So now it's trying to spawn 5, but that's correct because there are 5. And we get no crash. I have a push, line 247, okay. Enemies. Oh, yeah, you're right. So there's a pull here as well. So I could just do a pull here. Okay, let's try that with just 4. You see, it's still trying to do a 5th enemy. It's going to crash, yeah. As soon as it tries... So, yes, that pull is right. That definitely needs to be there. Because we are doing a push here. So this definitely needs to be in. This is now correct. The problem is it's trying to spawn a 5th sprite, and that comes down to the pipe update routine. So this is in here. We count the number of, check if there are less than 5 enemies. So this is succeeding, and then it's checking to see if there are enemies left to spawn. So this new piece of code that we put in could be failing here. Okay, I'm going to put a marker in here, and I am going to put a marker in here as well. Why is that not loading? There we go. So we've got the self mod is at 3494, and that's saying load 844A, and our this is at 844A, so that's correct. 99 load wide 4, okay. Hi Dillahan Software, welcome to the stream, dude. 99 load Y with 4. This is the pipe to check next. So this is the number of enemies that is on the screen. This is the pipes to check, and it counts the number of active pipes and adds it to the number of enemies on the screen, and that gives us a total number of enemies on the screen. So let's see, we should only hit this breakpoint 4 times in this case. Let's get rid of that. So this self mod is actually correct, it's looking at the right values. If we hit this a 5th time, then we can start looking at the data that we get from it. Okay, so 1, that's the first pipe, 2nd pipe, 3rd pipe, 4th pipe, but we are hitting a 5th pipe. So let's have a look. So the accumulator should contain the number of enemies that we've got. So let's go and take a look at that. Which is 4, which is correct. We do only have 4. Maximum enemies on screen 5. Actually, so this is correct. We should be getting to here because it should be trying to spawn one, but this is the check where it should be looking to see, do we actually need to check to spawn one or not. So next enemy index. So let's just step over the code and see what happens. So our X register is 0 for some reason. Next enemy index 3421 is 0. Next enemy index is not increasing. So where is the spawn? Spawn enemy, load Y, next enemy, increase next enemy index. What? Okay. The fact that that was 0 made me think maybe we're just not incrementing it, but it looks like we are incrementing it. Let's make sure that's not being updated anywhere else. So it's been loaded there, it's been incremented there. It's been set to 0, but only in the initialize, and then we're just loading it again. Okay, let's put a breakpoint in here. Make sure that it's incrementing properly. It's making no sense. Tonight is a bug hunting stream. Which is fine, we've needed to do this for a while. Okay, so as they spawn out we should get an increment, and that is on let's check the line before it. 3421, so 3421 should be 1, yeah, and this will increase every time. So 2, yeah, 3, 4, 5. It is 5 at that point. But if you look, it's a 0. Okay, let's. I think we might need the debugger here. Let's load the debugger up. Let's put a breakpoint in. Let's stick a breakpoint in here so we can actually see what the next enemy in the list is, and let's load it through the debugger. I'm going to take another break in a minute. Yeah, it is a good time. I think it makes sense to get it done now and do more exciting stuff when it's busy. How is the chat? Oh wow, it is quiet. It's because Hazy's streaming, that's why. But that's fine. That's fine. Less pressure. Okay, so the first breakpoint is here. The accumulator is 2, which matches the enemy in our list here, 2. So we let the next one spawn, and it is indeed 2. Although our X register says it's 0. So for some reason that value in 3421 has not been picked up. It's still 0 there. Okay, we need to keep an eye on that as well, because that should be updating and it's not doing. And so of course it's going to keep spawning. And then of course we're going to crash because there isn't an enemy to spawn. Okay. Why is our value not going up, and why is that X not being read correctly? This value is not being picked up properly. Oh, wait a minute. We're only updating that value when it actually pops out of the pipe. We should be updating that immediately. Yes. So there's actually two counters we need to be moving here. One is the actual next enemy to spawn from the pipe. Which is this one here. Okay, let's move this to somewhere else. And we need to... I'm going to put a deliberately broken code here. Load Y with enemy type. And that we'll assign to the pipe somewhere. So that's what's going on here. Yeah. So instead what we need to do is, as soon as we know that an enemy is going to come out of a pipe, if so, spawn at a random inactive pipe. So at this point here, we need to increase the next enemy index. And that's going to increase through this list. The problem is now we don't know what is going to actually come out of those pipes. So we're going to add a new pipe enemy type here. Let's get rid of that there. Get rid of that. And we can load accumulator with next enemy index, and then store that at pipes enemy pipe enemy type, X, and then that will be this bit down here. Oh, we're using the Y register here, so... Oh, we're using the Y register because it's pulled from here, okay. Yes, that's right, cool. Right, hopefully that should solve the crash problem there. So we should only see 4 pipes spawn now, which we have. Oh man, he's in a bad place. They need some invulnerability. I think that's something we should add in next as well. A couple of seconds of invulnerability for the players. Oh, and I notice when the player falls off the screen, he's being reset to here, not to over here. Oh, well, he is being reset to over here, but it's being reset a line later, so we might need to change the timing around there. It's fine for now. It'll be a glitchy thing to fix at the end. But this looks good now. I just need to make sure that if I kill something, it doesn't cause a crash. Which it doesn't. So I also want to just re-enable this code, see if this actually fixes the other problem I had, which was the number of the size of the bar as 8. No, there's definitely a problem with that code. Yeah, it's 1 behind. Take the current level, take the enemy list data. So this points to here now. Oh, it's +1, that's why. Because bar units is 1 ahead of this one, so that's why. And that's the first byte here. So actually this needs to be... Oh man, that's annoying. Actually, we can fix this by... There we go. Right. Blame Sublime. Yeah. No, you should be able to do this with anything. I mean, you should be able to do this in Notepad, right? So Sublime, if anything, makes things easier. It might not make things easier in the way that somebody wants to because they're used to another IDE. But I didn't force anyone to use Sublime. Plenty of people are using VS Code and Atom as well. So I actually use VS Code for my day-to-day. I just use Sublime because I find it a little bit easier with Kickassembler. Okay, that's working cool. So I'm going to set the level back to level 1 again. And Foray, if you can jump around like crazy and see if you can get it to crash again. That'd be really good. And I'm going to go for a quick smoke. Right, there we go. Alright. I shall be back in 2 minutes, guys. Be right back. And I'm back. That's really annoying that I can turn the music off. Hazy's playing Airwolf. Are you serious? Let's have a quick look. We've got Haze. He is indeed playing Airwolf. You had to see Airwolf. I can't actually hear him. I think I would have to turn my desktop audio on somehow. But yep, there he goes. I can't hear the audio. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's paused him instead of the music. Hang on, let me pause the music because.
The C64 version I don't remember liking as much as the Amstrad version, but it's so long since I played it. Now this music will be stuck in my head for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it'll be stuck in my head as well, unfortunately. Right. Come on, play it. I want him to play. He's got to play, right?
It's coming in. Velociraptor, I'll need a YouTube link for the comedy sketch. I think someone redeemed a comedy sketch earlier and didn't give me a YouTube link either.
Oh well, I'm not going to sit and watch Haze all night.
Thanks for the bits. Andy Magic Knight's back. Where were you? I messed up the code, Andy Magic Knight. I need to start again. Gianni Bats, welcome back, dude. Good to see you. Akfin, thanks for the 8 bits. Oh, Shallan's back as well. Hi from the Make a Game stream. We had to see Airwolf. Guys, welcome on in. Oh, that's where you guys have been. You've been streaming, Shallan. I didn't see you streaming, so if I'd seen you streaming, I would have just watched you as well. Just got the first man back, so that's the thing.
Alright, that's enough. Streamception indeed. Yeah, right, let's get the music back on. Okay, I don't know if Stepz is testing this out now, but I'm gonna give it a little test anyway, see if we can get it to crash as well. Oops. Ah, okay. Oh, you're testing now. Okay, I thought you meant you tested and it was fine. I think we do need to put some invulnerability in for the players when they first appear, so we'll do that in a second. Otherwise, you're just instantly going to die as soon as you spawn at your spawn point. Like so, which is really frustrating. It's not crashing for me though, which is good. Ugh. What's going on in here? We were just trying to fix some... Oh no! We have got a crash bug. Okay, I've made it crash. Do you get your 4% now? No, because it's crashed. Okay, so let's have a look. Our stack pointer is at F3. Which is saying that we're running code from AB to C, apparently. Is that right? There can't possibly be anything there. Stack pointer is at F3. If the stack pointer is at F3, that's here. That means this is our jump address. There is no other code that it could be pointing to. Oh, 36AB maybe. I feel like it's a push and a pull thing somewhere. But we're not getting a crash if we turn off that player collision, the enemy collision, so which was this thing here, wasn't it? Okay, so let's have a go at fixing that. Let's see if we can make it crash. So I seem to get it to crash just by Stepz said jumping around like crazy, and there we go. We go again. Right, so let's go and have a look. Stack pointer F0, so that's here. I think you have to add 1. I can never remember. Yeah, add 1. So 2D33, 2C45. It always seems to be coming from this location. So let's go and have a look what's there. Check player collision. Okay. 2C45. It's used. This bit here, core behavior. It's definitely the core behavior function. It is definitely that core behavior function, because that is taken us to 2C45 is taken us to 2D33. Oops. 2D30, there we go. Oh yeah, there's something weird going on with this bit here. So 2D, disable 2D, 2A. Let's go back a little bit, okay. There is a pull here. Where is this? This is core behavior function, so let's go and have a look at that. It's in enemies somewhere. Where's enemies? I moved that. It's this one. Here's the core behavior. Here's a pull here, which is this pull. So this is the one we've already looked at. We know this is correct. There's no other subroutine called in there. We call this routine though. I just think that this is wrong for some reason. Behavior self mod 2D68. Right, let's go and have a look at that value, see what's been put in there. $2D68. Has the music stopped? It's just gone really quiet. Oh no, still on. And that's saying jump to in 2D8. And that has a jump to 2DF5. Check versus projectiles is in that list. So it's got a lot of things going on here, but it definitely has check versus projectiles. So I am very suspicious of this function here. Are we expecting anything to be the same at the end of here? X should be the same looking at this. Are we bashing X in here? No, we're not. I mean, we're doing a transfer and then we're getting it back again. We're storing it in this location and returning. So this should be fine as well. We're not returning from that function anywhere else. There's a couple of jumps in here, but these are just jumping ahead. Oh! Is X correct at that point? It is, so that's fine. This routine is, there's definitely something odd going on in this. Soft sprite, clear sprite. Maybe it's this clear sprite thing, which points back to exactly what Andy was saying before about the vectors. So let's go and just change the vectors for clear sprite. So we're using screen row and buffer row, which is these things here, and then we're returning from this function. So let's just change those two. Oh, actually, if you look, store at screen row, yes. What is it storing at screen row? Ah, I think we might have found something here. I think it's because this function is being called, but it's actually storing the accumulator somewhere. And I don't think the accumulator is what we think it is at this point, because this is probably also called from somewhere else in this in here, which it is. And we're looking up this value and then jump into clear sprite. So I think it's this. I think Andy was right all along. Yeah, it's a test. I think Andy is right. It is to do with that clear sprite, and it is to do with these vectors, but it's not because we're using the wrong vectors. It's because they're not being set up properly. The values that we're storing in them here, the upper value, is incorrect. So I think a byte is being written that shouldn't be. So if we have a look where vector 1 is, God, vector 1, it's in the middle somewhere. So a little tip, if you look in your bin folder, you'll find a symbol file. And you can use this to find the locations of all your temps and stuff. So let's have a look for vector 1. 26, right, okay. So this should be a screen location, but I bet it's not. 01F0. 01. I'm going to put a breakpoint in here just to see what normally gets set in there. I bet it's that, you know. I have that in writing. It's always valuable having you on stream, Andy, it really is. You can have that in writing. Yeah, see, look, there we go. So this is C230, and that's because our screen, if I do SC, see our screen is at C000. So what's happening is when this sprite is cleared, which is called from here, we're not setting the correct value. Projectiles, no, not that one, sorry. Not soft sprites, this one. We're not setting this value correctly. So we are setting it here, but we're not setting it for this one. Now we can probably fix that by moving, because it looks like we are setting it correctly for this bottom half. Optimizer not to restore color. Okay, so it wasn't to do with the optimization. So I reckon if we find the location for this, so here, so if that is 0, it doesn't do anything. So this is how we can avoid jumping to this routine. But what we need to do is, because that routine does get called from other places as well, we just need to make sure that in here we also grab it like that. That should fix our issues. I think that's it. I think this is the jam that's been taking us so long to figure out. I think that is it. So Stepz, if you could give that a try, and I will try that as well, and we'll see if we can break it. I think that's fixed it. So what was happening in... Oh, do you know what? It's so obvious as well, because when I looked, it is now I know. When I looked at the stack and I looked towards the end, I was noticing that some of these were 0, and so the jump, the return from subroutines, where instead of like returning from 2 to 2CD5, it was returning to 2C00, and the reason for that is because it was, when it was writing that screen value, when it was clearing the value, this value here was set to 0, 1. So this was, instead of loading the actual screen location, it was actually, so it should have been loading that address, but instead it was setting up this address, and that's in the stack, and it's actually towards the top of the stack as well. So that very specific location on screen. So this would have happened when you hit somebody at exactly C2 F0 on screen. So let's have a look where that would be. That would be, let's think, that would be 512 plus 240, 752. So that is going to be 752. Hang on, let's work this out. I need to do this in a calculator, because I reckon I can make this crash every time now. So 752 divided by 40, so it would have been row 18. So that would have been, well, these are in twos, so that would have been here. And 18 times 40. Oops. 32. So that would have been, if you hit something in this location here, if your sprite disappeared at that location, it would have crashed, which is a very, very specific bug. So I am going to try and I'm going to restore the bug just for testing and see if I can make it happen. So I want to make one of my bullets disappear here while hitting an enemy. So it's not going to be the easiest thing to replicate, but I think that's what's going to cause it to crash. So let's get it hitting that location. So that is kind of, there we go, right. So I need to stand about there and throw to there. There we go. I was right. So Andy, you knew the exact location, and I figured out exactly why it was crashing. So I'm going to see if I can replicate that again. So I think it is if you stand. Yeah, it crashed exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if you just make it hit an enemy around about that position, it's going to cause a crash. Wow. I mean, that is one hell of an edge case. But at least now we can replicate it, which is good. So it has to be spot on that position as well. Yes, definitely worth 4% credit. Oh. Okay, we've got... Oh. Oh God, what is going on there? Oh my God, something else going on there. So excuse me. It's goddamn cold. Honestly, my body, since I've turned 40, has just decided to give up. So I need that to move a little bit, but I think it is going to happen again. It just... Do you know what? This would be easier with walkers. Let me just change it all to walkers. Honestly, I have spent more time ill in the past month than I have not ill. Oh, that's the wrong one. There should be twos. And I'm tired all the time as well. I don't know why. I don't know what is going on. Of course, it's just a cold. I know it's just a cold, but I just can't help think coronavirus all the time now. So. Alright, let's get it. Yeah, it is as well. Okay, so let's fix that bug and see if we can make it crash again. Yeah, I turned the bug back on just to see if I could replicate it. So now I'm going to try the same thing with this guy walking. I want more to spawn out of that pipe over there. There we go. Right. There was another bug that appeared. I have no idea what was going on there, but we'll track that down at some point. But I think this is kind of resolved now. Yeah, that would have crashed then. Cool. Nice pipe bulge. Yeah, it was the last thing we did on the last stream. It actually worked quite well. I was quite pleased with that. Cool. So after, I mean, I don't know how many weeks that CPU jam has been there, but no wonder it was hard to spot because it only happened. There were actually 3 locations on screen where it could have happened. So it would have been one here, one roundabout here, and one roundabout here somewhere as well. So every F0 location on the screen. Using this font as a reference for your new job. Yeah, you were probably firing. It's probably a lot to do with where you jump as well, because naturally I was kind of jumping around these parts, and that would have avoided the bug, because it would have had to hit an enemy here. And the bullets never went down here, and the other location would have been up here somewhere. Yeah, that's fixed now. That's awesome. Right, let's put some invulnerability in for the players. So let's create a new player state for that. Actually, do you know what? We should probably think about a second player state. Because we're starting to get a few things that could quite easily fit into a second player state. Just trying to think, do I do it now or do I... Yeah, it was. That's... I'm not a big fan of debugging, but that was the most fun I've had debugging before. That was great. It was really, really well done. Do you know what? I think I'm going to get this invulnerability and then I think I'm going to have to call it a night, guys. I'm feeling really, really shitty. But let's do the player invulnerability first. I was hoping the wine would kind of make me feel better, or at least mask the fact that I feel crap. Player invulnerable, but it's not done, unfortunately. I don't know why I copied that. I probably didn't need to do that. Let's finish this bottle and see how I go. Maybe I'll feel better after. I actually find debugging on the C64 much more interesting because it is a proper challenge. It's not like normal debugging on modern languages. You really have got to kind of think a little bit outside the box, and call stacks mean a hell of a lot when you're debugging. I mean, they do on modern languages, but they're really easy to read in modern languages. And really, I should have noticed that there was something wrong with that call stack, with the zeros that were in there. There was always a 0 in that call stack when there was a problem. I just assumed it was an area of the stack that hadn't been used yet, which is why I was getting confused looking up the addresses as well. But you learn. It's a new thing I'm going to keep my eye on to make sure that the stack is correct. You like debugging with the C? Yeah, the C64 debugger is really good for it. Although I solved that in Vice, so and that was with. I mean, I wouldn't have found that if it wasn't for you, Stepz, kind of narrowing it down to something to do with the throw routine and Andy actually finding that the clear sprite routine, there was something weird going on in the clear sprite routine. I mean, thankfully it wasn't to do with the 0 page stuff, but it was to do with that routine, which was interesting. Okay, so we're going to create these two variables in here, and then in the player spawn we'll set them to FF, and we'll just tick them down. That'll give you 5 seconds if they tick down all the time. So player spawn player, here we go. So this is setting the location, then we need to do no, that's the wrong place. There we go. Yeah, there's a word for that, for you can also use it when you're cracking code as well, when you're trying to figure out where something is in the code. Like if you dissect it, like making a crack for a game. I forget what it's called, but you basically you block off half of the code, and then you the way you do it with finding like where lives are stored, for instance, is if you can't find it the normal way, is you save half of the memory while the lives are at 3, then you lose a life, so you're on 2 lives, and then you put that half of the memory back, and if the lives go back to 3, you know that it was in that section of memory. You just keep doing that until you're down to binary search. That's the one. Yeah, binary search. And it's the same with code. I do it with modern code as well. Just stop doing certain pieces of the code, see if it breaks, and you can often narrow it down pretty quickly. So yeah, binary search. I can't believe I don't remember that. God, my boss would have a go at me if I didn't remember the name of that, and I haven't, so I hope he's not watching. Okay, so in our update function, we'll do it in the draw function, I guess, because that's where we're going to actually use this value to update the color or something. Well, we'll do a color flash, I think. So there should be a draw player. Here we are. Is there a color value? There should be a color in here somewhere. Oh, we don't actually set the color. Ah, wait, is the color set up here in the initialize? It is as well. We set in the player colors here, so we should probably define the player colors as labels up here. Actually, let's set them as a so player 1 is red. We do need to change the color of player 2, so I'm going to change it to color does not have a U. I don't care what you say, it doesn't have a U. I'm going to waste my time writing an extra character when I don't need to. Oh, player 1 was okay. and then in our draw player, we'll do it in here. So we're setting up loads of things down here. This is storing all the values, so just before it does all of that, let's do it here. Okay, so just put that in there and just well, that just gives me a reason not to put it in the code, to be honest. Have I missed anything? No. Okay, cool. So we will load the accumulator with, we can use the accumulator, yes. Can we use X? We can't. We can use Y. Can't use X, we can use Y. Okay, so let's load player inform comma X. We can change how this invulnerability looks. For now, I'm just going to make the characters flash in a funny way. Oh, you can tell Aquafin's back on the stream, can't you? Oops, let me set that back up. Oh, fucking hell. Turn my desktop noises off. Yeah, I think I'm gonna finish this bowl and then I'm gonna call it a night. I'm really feeling not good at all. On Thursday, by the way, I think I mentioned it on the last stream, I'm gonna go back to the stuff I did on the very first stream last year and just explain the basics of machine code, how it works, how it interprets, what the program character's doing, what the different registers are, things like that. Just because it's been one of my most requested videos to put into a high quality, and it's the only one I don't have in high quality, so it'd be nice to create this new series of videos with complete kind of information. So well, it's more of a recap of the first stream rather than the last 6 months. Just so that if people go looking through the videos, they've got a nice entry point that they can start at. I'm not going to go through how to set up Kickassembler or anything, but I will explain that you can find that information on Discord and stuff. But I will explain kind of how assembly runs and what's actually going on behind the scenes, so people can start to have an understanding of it. And then I think after that, the next one of those, I want to do another dissect a game stream at some point, so I will do an actual game dissect. And then there's 2 things I want to cover. One is maths, doing addition, subtraction in 8, 16 bits, 24 bits, things like that. And I'll do that as another one of these kind of 6502 streams. And then I want to do something more Commodore specific, which is something Stackbats has asked me to do, which is sprite animations and different ways of doing sprite animations. Which actually should be a fairly quick thing to do, but I'll try and think of how we can expand on it and make it a bit more than a 1 hour stream. Okay, so we've got the player invulnerable variable. Let's just check that that's working. I mean, we're not going to be invulnerable yet, but let's just make sure we flash for 5 seconds. Oh, and then it... Okay, so there's... okay, alright. Player. Why would that be different? Store accumulator current frame, yeah. Oh, because it should be that. There we go. And actually that should be not inform, so it should be that. Is that right? Yeah, okay. Both players are red, which is wrong. I think I did change to 2 different colours, didn't I? Play colours, yeah, should be red and purple. Oh. There we go. I really don't like the way that flashes. That is going to get changed at some point. Oh, there's no music? Seriously? I've had music in my ear the whole time. You didn't hear any music all stream? That's really weird because I can hear it. Let me try something. The thing is, I don't really want the sound to be dead in the background. There's a lot of times where I'm just thinking about things, so... can you hear music now? Is it telling you to kill all humans? You can hear a little, okay. I only want it to be a little, I don't want it to be a lot, but obviously I need to set the volume to a certain amount or else it just doesn't appear for some reason. Very, very quiet, okay. It's really loud for me. No, whatever. Pretty good level. Okay, I'll leave it at that. It's quite loud in my ear actually. Let me see if I can turn that down a little bit in my ear. Choose which. Is this one to turn it down? There we go. It's a bit quiet for me now. I'll win with the audio at some point. I'm still getting used to it. It's only been almost a year, and I've still not figured out how to stream. Okay, so what we need to do now is just make sure that if we're invulnerable, we can't die. Right now, I can still die, so that's easy enough to do in. Oh god, where are we doing that check actually? I assume it would be in the enemy behaviors. Let's hit projectile. Or maybe not, maybe it's in the enemy collisions. No, that's different, isn't it? That's. So this is player control, so it's not that one. This file is so big now. I think it's in enemies. Collision points. Oh, that's the bit that we refactored, wasn't it? So that it could do check player collision. Here we go. So if the player is dying, we don't do anything. So we can also check player requests. Right, hang on. If the player is okay, no, the logic's back to front here. So if the player is not dying, then we jump to here. There we go. If the player is not informed, we go to here. There we go. That's perfect. I'd love to spend some time to try and figure out. Oh, did that actually work? Yeah, that's perfect. Cool. To figure out a list of SIDs that I can use that aren't copyright claimed. I'm not sure how to go about doing that. I mean, I guess I could take the 11-hour SID music, just upload a video with just that on and just keep deleting tunes from it until I start getting copyright strikes on it, copyright claims on it, which might work, I guess. Right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go and take a quick cigarette break. When I come back, we'll finish this last glass of wine, find something to fix in the meantime, or add. And then I'm going to call it a night because I'm feeling really, really bad. Alright, I'll be back in 2 minutes, guys. Okay, I'm back. I think what we'll do is we'll change the pulse for these, for the invulnerability of this, because I really don't like it. It's horrible. So we'll make it an actual color fade instead. So we'll do that, finish this glass of wine, and then if Haze is still on at that time, we'll go and raid Haze. Right. So let's stick some colour tables in here. So let's find a nice colour. Actually, we can do it based on this, I think. If no, let's do a separate table for each one. Haze is on all night. Okay, cool. We'll go and raid him then when we've finished. We'll raid him in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. Okay, so let me bring up a Colorfade Doc. Right, okay, let's pick some nice colours in here. So we want to go from, I guess, white to, actually this first one's probably spot on. So we do 16 colours. Let's just grab that, let's try it, let's have a look. Okay, so that's 8. So if we just do the same in reverse on the bottom. Actually, 8 might be enough. So yeah, because then it would flash, fade out. Yeah, that would look alright actually. Or it should fade up. Yeah, it will look fine. So if we do. So here, instead of doing this, what we can do instead is, okay, so that's what we're trying to grab, and we'll do it before we decrease the value. Doesn't really matter which way we do this, but so we need to take this value and do it with 07. Can we use Y? We can. Okay, so transfer that to Y. There we go. We'll decrease that value when we're done. That should hopefully make that a little less kind of, not random, but less kind of pathetic looking. Should make it look a bit more. Oh, it's not though, look at it, it looks... Let's slow that down. Oh, it just needs to be slower, that's why, okay. So, instead of ending it with 7, we will shift it to the right twice. And then end it. That should give us a slightly better one. I'm just gonna go to bed and watch Buffy, I think. It's a, yeah, I think he does want it. It's, hang on, let me grab it. Is that it, or is that the immediate? That's the immediate. This thing. You seem pretty good, Nick. It's not very yellowed at all. It's looks pretty good. The which button is it? The one of these buttons has a click on it. Yeah, the 48 display button's working fine. Shift lock's working fine. I can't remember how much of it is working. I need to open it up and do some tests on it. It's an English made one, but yeah, it's in pretty decent nick. I have to find I do have to find the power supply for it, so I think they're 8580s. I couldn't tell you, to be honest, without looking inside. I think they use 8580s because I think they use all the modern C64 C circuitry. So okay, that's a bit too slow now, and actually I don't think that colour ramp's right at all. I think the colour ramp needs to change. So let's just speed it up, get it at the right spot. God, I'm feeling really bad. It could be either. Okay. Yeah, that's not the right color ramp, is it? I mean, it looks better, but it's not the right color ramp. So let's have a look. Maybe we should be using one of the old Vic values instead. Let's try with that one. I'm going to finish this bit. I'm going to finish this glass of wine and then I'll stop. I'm still not convinced by that flash. Do you know what? I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to use one that goes to light blue. Which this one only has 6. If I did 4, no, I want one with 3, 4, 5. Let's try that one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put. So what it is, it's my bloody throat. My throat feels like shit. I don't know why. It's like I'm swallowing glass or something. Now it's going to pulse between 2 colours, so they're like not flash. It's going to kind of smoothly go between two values. That looks a bit better. Yeah, that feels a lot better actually. What do you think? You think that looks good? What are we thinking, guys? I kind of like that. It feels like a pulse now rather than like a gentle pulse rather than just an in-your-face thing. Yeah, one is purple because it kind of blended in too much with the background. But then again, purple and red are quite close. They're not. Let's try a different color. Let's try. What color would work here? Can't use blue. Can't use red. Shouldn't use green. So we could try yellow. Orange would clash with the crown too much, I think. Oh, the cyan. Let's try yellow first. If that doesn't look good, we'll try orange. If that doesn't work, we'll try cyan. You see, the thing is, now part of me wants to change. Let me just try something. If I change this red to yellow, what's that going to look like? No, that just looks weird, doesn't it? Let's just copy that ramp and let's try see if we can find a ramp similar with yellow in it instead. So we're using this one at the moment. And this is the only one that's got yellow in it. I could probably squeeze yellow into this one. Let's try that. So it would be this. Okay, I kind of looks alright. So let's try now making that work differently for both players. So this is player 1, this is player 2. So at the moment it's grabbing it from this ramp here, but what we need to do I'm not going to use the blade. I'm trying to get out of the habit of using empty labels like that. What have I done there? Okay, I mean, I think the yellow ramp needs changing a little bit, so let's see if we can find... I think the red one looks fine, but the yellow ramp doesn't look quite right, so let's have a look what's in the yellow section on here. The problem is it keeps pointing to this really short chain, and that's too short. There's that one. Okay, let's try that. So we only have one of the E in the middle, so I need to make sure that that stays the case. Which means put in another blue in there like that. And then a 0F. Yeah, I've got red twice. 0, 1 in there maybe. Let's try that. You wouldn't eat a red banana. That's true, neither would I. It's not, that one's not right. I really like the red one works, so let's see if we can find a way to make this work with yellow. So this is the colour that it's pulsing to. This is the kind of path. So this is going from a light colour and then it's getting darker. Now the problem is yellow is quite a bright colour, so really this needs to not be getting lighter but be getting sorry, not getting darker but getting lighter. So instead, if I go F like that and then 7, we see F7. And what's 9? 9 is like an orange colour. So I'm just going to put another 7 in there. Let's just make it last a bit longer on that one. That's better. There we go. Cool. Right, I think I'm going to call it there, guys, because I'm feeling really bad. Let me commit this. So, actually, we've not added a lot, but we have fixed a fixed CPU jam caused by clear soft sprite using an incorrect screen lookup to draw that was overriding values in the stack. Added invulnerable mode. What else have we actually done? We've completed multi-map loading. So actually, I think the next thing we should be looking at on this game is adding multiple maps in. So we might start actually getting some kind of map designs together, because at the moment the map design is very much just kind of a placeholder we put together right at the beginning. But we need to start thinking about that. We need to start thinking about enemies. I think on the next stream we can look at the player weights, make sure the player weights match correctly. So as I say, I think if you alone get 2/3 of the bar, then that should make you the heaviest weight. Beyond that, you just stay at the heaviest weight. Therefore, if both players get half a bar, you'll just be both at the medium weight, which kind of makes sense. So we'll work on that logic. There's going to be a little bit of maths behind that to try and do that efficiently. And then when we've done that, we can look at the door and the switch mechanics, and then that gives us a level that we can complete, and then we just need to flesh out the power-ups and the ground areas, and then we can start kind of building the rest of the game. It's getting really close though now. I think we're into the last half of the game now, really. A lot of it's going to come down to design, I think. Let's push that. But I'm really glad we got rid of that CPU jam. It was bugging me a lot. So, alright, let's set up the rage thing. Create a dashboard. Yep, there we go. Raid channel. We'll go and raid Haze. Sorry, it's a short one tonight, guys. Just really not feeling up to it very much. Yeah, I'm gonna drink lots of. I don't even like whiskey, but I'm gonna drink some lemon sip with whiskey in it tomorrow. And I'm just gonna go to bed now and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer in bed. I can't believe I'd never watched that before. It's crazy. All right, cheers, guys. Let's go and raid Haze. Ready to raid in 7, 6, 5, 4, blah blah blah. Right, I'll see you on Thursday, guys. Take care. Bye.